I think one of the first steps, when you want to develop that partnership, a strategic partnership, is to have a strategy yourself. Like I find a lot of the small startups, especially virtual biotechs, they know where they want everything about the product, about the science of it, the technicalities of it. But a lot of the business aspects of it are not really hashed out or clear. So if I give an example, I was working with a client and they're in the very early preclinical stage and moving towards the first in human batch. And though they know their products really well, they've partnered with a CDMO to make that first batch as well. When there are questions around what are you going to do about tech transfer, or what about your methods? Are you transferring the methods? They still give me a lot of vague answers saying, we haven't thought about this as yet. We haven't decided what we want to do. And when that lack of clarity of what you're going to do in the next stage, what you expect your partners to deliver to you, you are going to transfer that lack of clarity to your partners as well. And that can impact the success of your project, whether it's in terms of cost or it's in terms of time or the quality. So having a strategy, how it could be a draft one, because you're in those stages where there are so many unknowns, it's okay, but have them, identify your risks upfront, assess your internal talent. What are those skill sets that you have internally? What will you need to leverage from your partner, or what will you need to leverage in terms of consultants or contractors, and when? And if you have at least some idea of that, your conversations with your partners will be much more clearer, and then you can expect more clear answers from them, more clear deadlines, more commitment from them as well.
Very good. I'm going to go to Reza in a second, but Antiksha, that's exactly how we started this. That's exactly what the blurb to this session was. What do you base your outsourcing strategy on? Do you even have one? Is it the right one? So those are the questions we're trying to get at. Reza, you have worked in a company that had a very set and perhaps a dynamic way of doing outsourcing. And now, after years of that system, you're working with companies that maybe don't have a strategic look to them or plan. How do you get that plan? So I think what we're saying here is you can't have a strategic relationship with the CDMO or CDMOs unless you are strategic yourself and you know what your strategy is. So maybe you can comment on that, Reza.
Correct, and that's a great point. So in my previous life, of course, we had a very large organization, and like my outsourced budget was more than $1 billion a year. So, and we were working with 200 plus CDMOs, CPLs, and CROs. As a consultant, I see it on the other extreme where you have a lot of smaller companies with maybe one, perhaps two projects, and they don't have as much leverage. And really the bottom line is making sure you have leverage. It's good to have a strategy and it's good to plan things out. But if you have no leverage, sometimes it's hard to execute on the strategy, especially for smaller companies.
So right, today, but I don't want to, Reza, I don't want to go to leverage yet. I want to say, how do you get your strategy? So when you're advising a biotech that's, just getting just getting started in development, say, how do they put the strategy together? What's it based on? What's a good strategy to make a strategy, I guess?
Yeah. So you look at three elements. You look at your modality and the molecule. You look at your internal capabilities, and then you try to match that to the CDMO. So it's really thinking about what can I do internally? If I don't have a lot of internal capacity, I have to rely on CDMO. So a strategy for a company like, large pharma like Merck or GSK will be very different than a strategy for a smaller organization because the internal resources are not there. But those are the three key elements that we look at: modality, internal capabilities, and then what the CDMO can offer. And the other thing I would like to say is don't think about cost, think about value. It's all about value. I think if you look at the cost, I think you're missing a large portion of value.